777. Page 778. Page 779. Page 780. $781. $782. $783. $784. $785. $786. Senator Monsurat Sumonu, Oyo Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Monsurat Sumonu, representing Oyo Central Senatorial District. I hereby move that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, the 7th of October, 2018 be adopted. I hereby move. Thank you.
Senator Lau, Taraba North.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Issa Shoaib Lau, representing Taraba North. I rise to second the motion that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 17th October 2018 be approved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 17th October 2018 be hereby approved, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 17th October 2018 is hereby approved. Announcement. National Institute for the Legislative and Democratic Studies, University of Benin Postgraduate Programs Convocation Ceremony for 2015-2016 and 2016-2017 academic sessions. Distinguished senators are invited to the NILDS UniBen Postgraduate Programs Convocation Ceremony for 2015-2016 and 2016-2017 academic session, scheduled to hold as follows on Monday, the 22nd of October 2018, 10 a.m. at National Assembly Arcade. The activities slated for the convocation ceremony include convocation lecture on the topic Parliamentary Institute Building in Africa, award of prizes to deserving graduates, and award of degrees to graduates. All centers are requested to please attend. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very respected colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of an executive bill standing in my name on the suppression of piracy and other maritime offences bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, suppression of piracy and other maritime offences bill 2018, SB 701, first reading.
Suppression of piracy and other maritime offences bill 2018, SB 701, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is also the presentation of an executive bill standing in my name on the Nigeria Police Academy Establishment Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigerian Police Academy Establishment Bill 2018, SB 702, first reading.
Nigeria Police Academy Establishment Bill 2018, SB 702, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President C&C for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as chairman and members of the governing board of the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA, in accordance with the provision of Section 2 of the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency Amendment Act 2007. They are 1, Mr. Tunde Lemo, Chairman; Engineer Nuruddin Abdurrahman Rafindadi, Managing Director; Buba Silas Abdullahi, Executive Director; Babagana Mohammed Aji, Executive Director; Engineer Sheikh Usman Abdullahi, Executive Director; Loretta Ngozi Chiku Anyogolu, Executive Director; Mujaidu Stanley Dapo, Executive Director; and Vincent Oladapo Kolawale, Executive Director. Mr. President, distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President C&C to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President C&C be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that's moved by the leader that the Senate do consider the request of Mr. President on the confirmation of the nomination of the following as mentioned by the leader for appointment as chairman and members of the governing board of the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency in accordance with the provisions of Section 2 of the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency and for referral to the appropriate committee. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do consider the request of Mr. President C&C on the confirmation of nomination of the following person for appointment as chairman and members of the governing board of the Federal Road Maintenance FEMA in accordance with the provision 2 of the Federal Road Maintenance Agency Amendment Act 2007 as listed by the leader. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Okay, this is referred to the Committee on FEMA for further legislative action. Report back in 2 weeks. Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that we stand down the presentation and consideration of the second order of the day, which is the report on the from the Committee of INEC till another legislative day, till the next legislative day, that is Tuesday, to enable the committee do further legislative actions for the report to be comprehensive for submission.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second that the report on INEC committee be stood down for another legislative day. I second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. That is stood down to next legislative day. That will be Tuesday. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very respected colleagues, the third order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on National Identity Card and National Population Commission on the screening of Dr. Abdul Malik Mohammed Durungwa for appointment as a commissioner for the National Population Commission. The single senators will recall that the nominee was referred back to the committee for further legislative action on Thursday, the 11th of October 2018. The report of the committee is now ready. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Suleiman Hunkwi, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the consideration of the report. Who is the vice chairman? No, vice chairman should do it. Who is the vice chairman? No, Senate chairman.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Suleiman Hunkwi. I rise to move that the Senate do receive the report for the screening of Abdul Malik Mohammed Durungua, Commissioner for National Population Commission. I so move.
Senator Fashe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Drew Fashe, representing the Ekiti North Senatorial District. I rise to second that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on National Identity Card and National Population Commission on the screening of Dr. Abdullah Mohammed Durungua for confirmation of appointment as Commissioner for National Population Commission. I do second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on National ID Card and National Population Commission screening of the Abdul Malik Mohammed Durungua for confirmation of appointment of Commissioner for National Population Commission. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Hunkwi can make a presentation. It's for consideration. Huh? Present your report.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this report was the result of the deferment and direction of the Senate on this nominee for the committee to consider after the standing down of the report along other nominees which the Senate directed. Same methodology and requirements for the nominee were considered. Findings of the last report, which was reported here, left two items for which we requested the nominee to come before the committee, and he appeared yesterday with those two letters. It will be seen on item 3.0, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that the two areas for which the committee required clarification on, the nominee came with two letters, one from the Ministry of Education, Katsina, where the secondary school he attended resides, and the second, a letter from the same secondary school which he attended. Those two letters were considered by the committee, and the recommendation of the committee lies below
on item 3.1. That is, with the above documents, the committee is satisfied that the nominee be hereby recommended for confirmation of the Senate. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so move.
Any comments? Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to consider the report. Where you are contributing.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Senate leader. However, there is a need to look at the document.
Let's go to committee of the whole first, and then you can express your views. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes. If there are no comments, we move to. Okay. Yes, Mr.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I refer you to page 2 of the document with us. Candidate profile. The candidate was born in 1964 and he was able to finish his school cert in 1978. That's exactly 12 years. No, that, excuse me, can I finish? How intelligent could he have been? There is something wrong with that. And again, if you look at his TTC, his grade 2, he finished in 84, and then he did the NDE almost immediately after. And the gap between when he left school and when he did his NCE is almost 10 years. If he was very intelligent, he would not have done his NCE in 10 years. And NDE the same year. Mr. President, there is something intrinsically wrong in this, and we need to sort it before we pass it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to refer us back to your address when we resume from recess. You said we should only look at issues based on national interest, not to bring politics into issues of national politics. I want to submit, with due respect, that politics some people are trying to bring politics into this matter. There's nothing wrong. Some people, you have intelligent people, intelligent pupils that sometimes finish their primary school at the age of 10. It has happened. Okay? I see nothing wrong here. The chairman, even though he's a PDP senator, got letters from the school this gentleman attended. And it was clarified, it was stated that all his papers are correct. So I'm surprised that our respected minority leader is raising this issue once again. Please, I want to submit that this man should be, his nomination should be approved, and we should take away politics from the issue of his, the approval of his nomination.
Just a second. Minority, I don't understand the point you're making. Because first school living is not primary school. What's wrong with that now?
Sorry, sir. He did his NCE in 1987. He did ND in 1987. He did BEd 1995. He did his NYSC 1995.
Mr. President. No. Leader.
Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Muhammad Adamu Aliru, presenting the center. Mr. Chairman, the issue raised by the minority leader, the issue raised by the minority leader is neither here nor there. I believe the committee has done a very good job. They have done due diligence on this candidate. And I want to advise that we should pass, the nominee and avoid unnecessary questions. All the issues that have been raised should have been raised at the committee level, not here. I believe the committee has done a good job. We should go ahead and approve the nomination. Thank you. Put the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I think the questions or issues raised by the Senate minority leader are not partisan, and I don't believe that anybody on that side is going to be partisan on this. But let me say this: first of all, just listen. First of all, let's respect our committees. Some or all of these issues were raised last week, and that was the main reason why we said the committee should go back and dig more to find out the truth about authenticity of his qualifications. They did that. Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I believe that the chairman of this committee, Senator Humphrey, is a very thorough person, and members of this committee. Secondly, personally, I also did my due diligence behind the scenes, and I got documents. I got documents from the institutions that this person attended, especially this 2-year college education thing or teachers college thing. The school wrote a letter to certify that he was there as a student and he passed. It is not unusual. I will therefore urge my colleagues, especially those who appear not to understand this. Please, this is someone. Mr. Chairman, let's pass this thing. No, they are not.
Distinguished colleagues, please. Yes, I know we don't have too many items on the other paper today, but I think we have taken this chap through. He has gone back. The committee has come back. They have said that the thing is fine. Let us put the question. Let's make progress. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Dr. Abdul Malik Mohammed Durongo as for appointment as commissioner? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Senate reverse plenary for the child report progress.
I second the motion as moved, Mr. President.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. Let's have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the report of the Committee on National Identity Card and National Population on the screening of Mr. President nominee for appointment as Commissioner for National Population Commission, and approved the nomination of Dr. Abdulmalik Mohammed Durungua as Commissioner for National Population Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thereafter, Mr. Senate, distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Dr. Abdulmalik Mohammed Durungua for appointment as a Commissioner of National Population Commission? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Abdulmalik Mohammed Durungua is hereby confirmed as Commissioner for the National Population Commission. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the resumption of adjourned consideration of the report of the Committee on Special Duties on the National Commission for Refugees, Migrant and Internally Displaced Persons Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that further consideration on the report at the Committee of Whole was deferred at clause 21 to another legislative day on Thursday, the 19th of July, 2018. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move that the Senate do resolve into Committee of the Whole to resume consideration of the report. I so move.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, if you recollect, we are to resume at clause 21. Clause 21 is on page 31.
Amendment, sir. Amendment, sir.
Check.
Sir, clause 21, 3B. Refer the matter back to the Legislative Committee or Appeal Board. Clause 21, number 3B. Refer the matter back to the Eligibility Committee or Appeal Board.
Sir, the opening paragraph of section 21 appears to be inelegantly inserted because you cannot say any person who is aggrieved in a law. What you say that any person who is dissatisfied. Any person who is dissatisfied. That is the correct language.
Okay, what about the addition of the appeal board? Does anybody have any? Yes? Okay, can somebody second that amendment to that?
Yes, Yahya Abdullahi Kevino, I write to second the amendment which has been raised by the chairman of the committee. I so second.
Any other amendment to clause 21 before I put the question? Those in favor of clause 21 as amended, that is the first line, any person who is dissatisfied by decision, and 3B, refer the matter back to eligibility committee or appeal board. Anybody, those in favor of 21 as amended to be part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 22. Clause 22. Those in favor that clause 22 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 23. Those in favor that clause 23 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 24. Yes, 24, Deputy Leader.
A refugee may be detained or expelled on grounds of national security or public order, not for reason. Because when you state reasons for that action to be justified, reasons must be used. But you know, in national security, you don't give those reasons. So it should be on grounds of national security.
Where is that again? Any second examiner? Yes, and to Toriga.
Mr. President, I seconded the amendment raised by his senior advocate, learned member, that this the reason should be used on grounds, removing the upper grounds. And so second.
The signature, those in favor clause 24 as amended should stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 25. Yes.
Mr. President, I thought we had in earlier session talked about this appeal, that when you're dissatisfied, your appeal should go to the appeal board and not to the secretary to government anymore. It's not stated that way here. Because if you say "or," that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but this law, but it's not so stated, because if you say "or," I will decide to go to secretary to government and abandon the appeal in the board. But it should be stated in the absence of the board, then the appeal should go to the secretary to government, so that it will be explicit and.
Yes, Chairman. That's your comment on that, Chairman.
The normal sequence is to have an applicant to the commissioner. So once we have an applicant, the commissioner now refers the matter to the eligibility board. If the eligibility board says, for instance, that they do not want, that the person is not suitable, the applicant has the option of still applying to the appeal board. But you could also have a situation where, for the commissioner, after the work of the appeal board, then the commissioner has to take a decision. Now, if the applicant is not satisfied with the position of the commissioner, then the applicant can go to the SGF. Then the SGF, yes, that is the sequence here. Then the SGF now has the option of referring the matter back to the appeal eligibility board, or the appeal board. Senator Mao, don't you understand the sequence? No, it's not complex. No. It depends on Senator Mao. It depends.
You are appealing against the decision of the commissioner. So why will you appeal to the commission again? So I think, like we've agreed earlier, is that you appeal to the board. But if you appoint the secretary, from what they say, if intendment is in the absence of the board, then let it be so stated. Simple. Because this is law.
Senator Mao, is your suggestion that the matter should be referred to the SGF and not the board? Asking the board.
21.
No, sir, it's okay, sir. I request we add the phrase. It's in order, sir. Senator Mao. Senator Mao. Amend it.
Yes, Deputy Leader.
I think the position of my brother and friend, distinguished Senator Mao, becomes an unnecessary reminder of truth, because the use of the word "or" means this is to be read disjunctively. And when it is read disjunctively, it is providing alternative for the latter. The latter provides alternative for the former.
That's not what they're saying.
No, he is saying that the condition precedent for appealing to the secretary to the government of the nation will be in the absence of the board. But now, okay, it means if the two exist, the man can go to either of the two. No, that's what I'm saying. Wait now.
But Mao's position is that you must state a caveat there, that the only time that you can go to the Secretary to the Government Operation is when this board does not exist for whatever reason. That's what, Okay.
But on the, I think we should leave it the way it is. Sometimes you have, yes, I think we should leave it the way it is. Sometimes you have an appeal coming directly from the UN to the federal government. This is a refugee matter, and it is across border. We've already stated earlier we've stated earlier where I made that initial amendment that the SGF still has the option of referring it back to the eligibility committee or the board. And sometimes you have the SGF dealing directly with the UN. So you leave that. It doesn't have to be all. It doesn't have to be all. The person should have the option for the two.
Chairman, do we all agree we leave it as it is? Okay, no, if we agree, let's make progress. Okay, go ahead.
Understanding the purport of this provision. What this provision seeks to do, sir, is to confirm concurrent jurisdiction to the board and to the secretary of the SGF. You know, when somebody has to appeal, it's just a commandment of jurisdiction. So you have option. If the board is there, go to the board. If the board is not there, go to the secretary. That's all. That's all he's saying. And that's why the word "or" is used. And the word "or" means the jurisdiction should be read disjunctively. And when it is read disjunctively, it means then you can go to anyone now. Okay. Okay.
Okay, can we make progress? Can you make a amendment so that we know what to do instead of just... Okay, go ahead, Senator Mao, go ahead.
Mr. President, you see, what we are trying to cure here is that... Okay, so I've said again, I move that section 24(3) should read, any refugee who has been notified of his expulsion may appeal to the board, that is the appeal board, or the secretary to the state government and federal government in the absence of the board. Simple, it's just simple.
Senator Gobri, are you seconding?
No, I'm against it, sir.
I'm seconding.
I'm against it.
Mr. Chairman, sir, Adiola.
Because it depends, is it external?
Your mic.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleague, Adiola Lamilekon, I rise to second the motion as moved by Senator Mao. That no, is there not 24(3)? Okay.
Those in favor of 24(3) as amended, that is to read that may appeal to appeal board or the secretary of the government in the absence of the board. Those in favor of 24(3) as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 25. DSP.
Just clarification, I would like to know the difference between 25, which they described in the column for remarks as new provision. That appears to me to be the same thing with clause 22 in the extant law. I can't see the difference. 22(1 is the same thing with what they're now calling the new one. So maybe the committee, let us know what is the difference. Because what 22(1 they said it's deleted. For 25 they just copied it again and say it's a new provision.
Can you respond to that?
So I didn't really question because just
If you look at page 34, well, from page 33, you see clause 25, which reads, subject to the provisions of this bill or any other law in Nigeria, the Federal Commissioner shall assist any refugee who has satisfied the criteria to achieve 1, either a citizenship by naturalization, B, voluntary repatriation, C, reintegration, or D, resettlement. And if you look at the remark column, it says a new provision to enhance the status of the Commission in line with international best practice. But if you look at section 22 on the left-hand side, you see exactly the same thing there. So it couldn't have been a new provision. Yes, and that 25, they're just the same thing. So I just wanted to explain why they are calling a new provision.
I agree with you, DSP. It's not a new provision. It's not a new provision. It's not a new provision. DSP is right, sir. But it should be retained as it is, as 25. It's not a new provision. The comment is wrong. The column is wrong. So the DSP is right. So it's in order, sir. The DSP's observation is correct, sir. Yes, sir.
Those in favor that clause 25 stands part of this, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 26.
Sir. Amendment, sir. 26 D, sir. Give relief assistance to refugees while they are awaiting a final decision of the appeal board, not appeal panel, sir. Appeal board, sir. We don't have an appeal panel. That is 26D.
So, I will put the question for 26. You want to second the amendment? Yes. Senator Keita, you want to second the amendment?
Thank you, sir. I remain Senator Ahmed Keita. I rise to second the amendment ably moved by the chairman of the committee. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of 26 as amended say aye. It should be stands part of this, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 27. Clause 27 goes up to page 40. Yes, DSP.
27E, page 36. Ensure respect for the humanitarian. Something is missing there. There will be humanitarian law or something. That page 36E. That's 27(4)E. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, like.
So it's a typographical error. I think it ensures respect for the humanitarian protection. So they did for the. So the other one before the after humanitarian should be deleted. Oh, humanitarian law. Okay.
So that is humanitarian law for the protection and assistance. The missing word there is humanitarian law.
No, law.
Law is missing. Law is missing. Sorry about that.
Any other correct? Leader.
I'm not comfortable with the use of the word 27(1). The Commission shall, in collaboration. Wherever the word shall used, it imposes an obligation. So nobody should be consultation, sir. Not in collaboration. 27(1). The Commission shall, in consultation with other relevant agencies. Why?
Senator, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I think it is in collaboration is correct, because in the issues of this type, the Refugee Commission may have to work together with either agencies, international agencies, like the Amnesty International or the International Refugee Organization, United Nations Organization, European Union. So it's not really in consultation with them, it's in collaboration with other agencies. It's not in consultation.
Let me put the question. Only if I put the question, then we can just make those in favor that clauses 27(1), 2, 3, 4 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say nay. There is it. 27(5). On 27(5). 27(5). Those in favor of 27, yes. Yes, please.
Again, I think there's something missing there at the middle. Subject to the relevant laws enforced in Nigeria and the overriding public interest, the Commission shall protect communities with special attachment to and. I don't know what the one say to and. I think there's a problem there.
For me, it's, I think it's correct. With special attachment, the special attachment to, sorry sir.
Has the Department of Legal gone through this bill? Huh? Because based on our experiences that we have seen with the executive sending back some of these bills, and with all the observation we are seeing already, so that we don't have to go and come back, why is it better for us, why doesn't the Department of Legal scrutinize this bill and then bring it to us, so if there are any of these corrections? But it's clearly all these things we're observing, we might run to the same problem we've had. So if we are, I think I would say that we stand this down, let the bill go to Department of Legal, they scrutinize it and then send it to us. Those, yes, and those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chart report progress.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we revert to plenary to report progress. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the committee of the whole resume consideration of the report of the Committee on Special Duties on the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons Bill 2018. Bill stood down for legal directorate scrutiny. Is this a true reflection of what transpired? Come to the home. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund on the FCT University of Science and Technology, ABAG, Establishment, etc. Bill 2018. The single senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, the 8th of November 2017. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Jibrin Barau, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Senator Barau.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Barau Jibrin. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, I move that this August Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund on the FCT University of Science and Technology, the Standard ETC Bill 2018 SB 59. Mr. President, I so move.
Senator Lidani.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive and consider. Do receive and consider the report on the Committee on Tertiary Institution and TED Fund on the FCT University of Science and Technology. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator, you will come and lay the report and then present.
Mr. President, this is the report of the Committee on a bill on an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Capital Territory University of Science and Technology, ABAG, Establishment ETC Bill 2017, SB 59. Introduction. Mr. President, you may wish to recall that the Senate at the sitting on Wednesday, 8 November 2017, referred the above bill sponsored by Senator Philip Aduda to the Committee for further legislative input. Consequently, the committee held a public hearing on Wednesday, the 22nd March 2018 to get public and stakeholders' input. The committee, as well as the participants, agreed with the intent of the bill. Participants were all in agreement that the establishment of the bill, the establishment of Federal Capital Territory University of Science and Technology, ABAG, will particularly facilitate more access to higher technical education in view of the large number of qualified candidates who are annually left without being able to secure an admission into higher institutions. Committee's findings. The Federal Executive Council at its 17th meeting held on 15 May 2017 considered and approved the establishment of the University of Science and Technology to be sited at ABAG. Eventually, 500 hectares of land was acquired for the university, and facilities already in place include the following: lecture rooms, laboratories, a library, students' hostel, a block for cafeteria and kitchen, lecturers' offices, departmental faculty, departmental to faculty offices, administrative block, university clinic, borehole, multipurpose hall, access road from entrance, transit camp, sports arena, soft landscaping, partial perimeter fencing, and a gatehouse. The institution, when established, will provide academic training for the teeming youth population who usually graduate from secondary schools across the FCT and cannot secure admissions into the few higher institutions within the FCT. The institution will equally reduce unemployment, youth, improve the livelihood of the people, and also play a vital role in human and economic development of the FCT. The Federal Capital University of Science and Technology, Abaji, field is divided into 24 sections and contains 3 schedules. Committee's recommendations. The committee recommends as follows. 1. Section 1 to 24 should be retained as in the bill. 2. The long and short title of the bill should be retained. And 3. The first, second, and third schedule of the bill should be retained. Conclusion, Mr. President. The committee recommends that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to approve its recommendations accordingly. The establishment of the university will be of immense benefit to the residents of the FCT and Nigeria at large. The committee wishes to express its profound gratitude to the Senate for its usual support. Mr. President, I so submit.
All right, thank you. State Leader.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to consider the report clause by clause. Minority.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that we move into committee of the whole to consider this bill clause by clause. Thank you very much.
Dear colleagues, those who support that we now resolve the committee of the whole to consider this report, say aye. Those against say nay. Those who support and consider this report now say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, this is a bill for the establishment of a university. It's straightforward and the provisions are consistent with the relevant provisions for the establishment of universities. So if we agree, we'll move as quickly as we can. All right.
All the universities in the country, all universities, the same thing.
Dear colleagues, those in support that clause 1 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 2, those in support that clause 2 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 3 and 4, those in support that clauses 3 and 4 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 5, those in support that clause 5 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 6 and 7 at page 5. Those support that clauses 6 and 7 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 8, 9, and 10. Those support that clauses 8, 9, and 10 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 11 and 12. Those support that clauses 11 and 12 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 13 and 14 at page 8. Those support that clauses 13 and 14 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 15 at page 9. Those support that clause 15 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 16, 17, and 18. Those support that clauses 16, 17, and 18 stamp out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 19, 20, 21, and 22, 23. Those support that clause 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Support that B say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 24. Those support that clause 24. Support that B say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Schedules 1 and 3, 1, 2, 3. Those support that schedules 1, 2, 3. Support that B say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum. Those support that explanatory memorandum. Support that B say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Short title. Those support that short title. Support that B say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The long title at page 1. Those support that long title. Support that B say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Sir Leader.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse the plenary for the charge report progress.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, while thanking you that indeed today is a new dawn in the history of the Federal Capital Territory, by establishing this wonderful university for the people of the FCT, I rise, Mr. President, to thank my distinguished colleagues for this, and as the State House of Assembly for the people of the FCT, we indeed say we are very proud of the Senate. On this note, Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that we revert to plenary to report progress accordingly. I thank you very much.
While accepting their gratitude to all of us, we just have to cooperate with leader to ensure that we realize the 48 hours instructions. Those who support that China report progress say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the FCT University of Science and Technology Establishment, etc. Bill 2018 and approved as follows. Clause 1 to 24 as recommended, Schedules 1 to 3 as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Senior Leader.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the bill be now read the third time.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that this bill be now read a third time. I so second.
Dear colleagues, those in support that this bill be now read a third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Capital Territory University of Science and Technology, Abaji, and for related matters, 2018, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Capital Territory University of Science and Technology, Abaji, and for related matters, 2018, third reading taken and passed. Well, I want to thank all of you for making this possible. I think with this, we've also expanded the opportunities available to our young people, to gain university education. And I believe that this will now reduce the pressure on the existing universities. I do hope that with further effort, we're able to establish more universities so that those who seek to have university education will have opportunity of doing so. So once more, I'd like to thank all of you for this contribution in making this a reality. Senior Leader.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the sixth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the ad hoc committee on the accommodation, logistics, and feeding onshore and offshore of Nigerian pilgrims. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the ad hoc committee was laid on Thursday, the 5th of July, 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Adamu Alero, Chairman of the committee, to first Move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Sir Lero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Muhammad Adama Lero, representing Kebbi Central. I move that the Senate do consider the report and the ad hoc committee on accommodation, logistics, feeding, etc., on onshore and offshore of Nigerian pilgrims in Saudi Arabia. I so move.
Mr. Dogaya.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I am Kabiru Gaya. I second the motion ably moved by my brother and my neighbor, Senator Adama Lero, on the Senate to consider the report of ad hoc committee on accommodation, logistics, feeding, etc. on the onshore, offshore of Nigerian pilgrims. Thank you, Mr. President, for giving the opportunity to second this motion.
Dear colleagues, those who support that Senate do not consider this report say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Lero, you can see this is a very detailed report. But since we all have copies, maybe I'm sure you can also try to do it in summary. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, this report would have been submitted and considered before we went on break in July. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough time, so we had to delay it till now. Having said that, Mr. President, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, on a sitting on Thursday, 20th July 2017, deliberated on a motion presented by Senator Ibrahim Ambaba under Rules 42 and 52 of the Senate Standing Rule on the extortion of monies from Nigerian pilgrims by National Hajj Commission of Nigeria. Subsequently, the Senate constituted ad hoc committee on accommodation, logistics, and feeding, etc., onshore and offshore of Nigerian pilgrims to investigate the matter. The membership of the committee are as follows. We had several meetings and we adopted the terms of reference as said in page 2 and page 3. The methodology, the committee resolved to be guided by the following methods. Nigeria Constitution 1999, information we got from the Hajj Commission, interaction with the stakeholders. We embarked on a fact-finding mission to Kingdom of Saudi Arabia so as to verify the veracity or otherwise of all aggregated information. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, on page 5, we listed our findings and also observations. I believe I don't have to go through this. I will simply skip everything since the whole idea is to go and see the recommendation we have made. Page 6, 7, up to recommendation. Yes. Mr. President, colleagues, I take you to page 31 of this report, which will give you a summary of all the findings and observations. From the findings and observations listed above, we make the following recommendation. 1. The National Hajj Commission should immediately constitute proper procurement planning committee in line with Public Procurement Act 2007. 2. That all unnecessary charges by NACO and State Pilgrims Welfare Board, such as administrative charges, Hajj Development Levy, Yellow Card registration form, administrative charges by State Pilgrims Welfare Board, and other charges by Pilgrims Welfare Board of the state should stop immediately. 3. The National Assembly should immediately commence amending the NACO and Utility Charges Commission Act to bring them to be in conformity with the present day realities. Page 31. 4. NACO should be sanctioned for violating relevant sections of the 1999 Constitution as amended, Public Procurement Act 2007 and NACO Establishment Act. 5. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs should be allowed to have institutional oversight on the operations of the Commission, insofar as its functions and responsibilities synergize with the diplomatic responsibilities of the Ministry. Since the Presidency is such a large political establishment, to have the institutional memory and framework to effectively oversight the Commission. 6. The National Health Commission should ensure that as from 2018 Hajj exercise, local air carriers should be given priority. They should charge airfare the same amount for both Umrah and Hajj. 7. That Nigeria, like other countries, should pull out from the one-sided MOU sanctioned by NACO with Saudi Arabia Authority with regard to the 50-50 sharing of airlift of Nigerian pilgrims. 8. The State Pilgrim Welfare Board should be allowed to freely negotiate and secure rental accommodation and other ancillary services for their pilgrims, both at Mecca and the Medina, while the role of NACO should be regulatory only so as to obtain in other countries. 9. That the number of days for accommodation in Medina should be reduced from 75 days to only 40 days. The number of bed spaces in Medina should also be reduced to 20,000 instead of 24,000 as currently contracted. This will further bring down the cost of accommodation in Medina. The implemental fraud associated with the provisions of accommodation in Medina, the subletting of bed spaces and other procured services rendered by Commission between 2015 and 2018 should be investigated fully by EFCC. 11. Henceforth, NACO should stop renting accommodation beyond the number of days Nigerian pilgrims will spend in Medina. And all proceeds realized from renting out accommodation in 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017 should be refunded to pilgrims who undertook the Hajj exercise in those years, while a competitive process should be allowed to take its course on renting accommodation in Mecca by State Pilgrim Welfare Board. 12. The Shuraka Al-Qaid Group of Company Limited, owned by a non-Nigerian, should be stopped from rendering any service to Nigerian pilgrims with effect from 2018 Hajj exercise, while Saudi-based Nigerian companies be encouraged to bid for service provision, provided they meet the standard specified by Saudi authorities. 15. That the centralized feeding arrangement introduced by Hajj Commission in 2015 should be scrapped or should be abolished and allow individual pilgrims to feed themselves. That the newly reviewed local transport fare by NACO should be discontinued with immediate effect. It is new only in name with no additional value to Nigerian pilgrims. The NACO should submit its books to Auditor General of the Federation for comprehensive and forensic auditing with regard to the revenue and expenditure since inception. 16. That all monies collected as revenue by NACO should either as proceeds of subletting pilgrims' accommodation in Medina, penalties and other levies, part of which is used to purchase office accommodation in Abuja Metro Plaza, should be covered and be paid to pilgrims or in the treasury. The Nigerian government to be advised to come up with legislation that will streamline the activities of the State Pilgrims Welfare Board with a view to making them more effective and responsible. And lastly, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the committee recommends that there should be downward review of the 2018 Hajj fare not to exceed 1 million naira, only under in any circumstance. Mr. President, the committee did a thorough job. We interacted with all the stakeholders both in Nigeria and also in Saudi Arabia. Before we came up with this recommendation, I asked my colleagues to go through this recommendation and approve them accordingly. Thank you very much.
Very well. Thank you for that presentation. Any comment before? Yes, Sumon.
My name is Senator Monsura Sumono, representing Oyo Central Senatorial District. I wish to lend my voice on this particular exercise from the ad hoc committee to look into the Hajj for 2017. I believe the motion came in June 2017, where initially it was referred to Foreign Affairs Committee that actually oversight Hajj Commission. We brought our report here, and during the consideration of the report, it was agreed that we could set up another committee to look into the 2017 Hajj. But with this report, I gather that it started from 2012, not only for Hajj Commission as we have agreed here in July 2017. But having said that, it is still okay for the committee because there may be some things that we overlook that our colleagues need to expatiate and try to put us on the track. Having said that, we appreciate number 5 that they say that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs should be allowed to have institutional oversight. I'm glad to inform the Senate that 2018 Hajj, the Committee on Foreign Affairs actually did our oversight, and which we are preparing our reports for the 2018 Hajj, where some of the observations that are here have been put into consideration. Then secondly, we went to Saudi Arabia with the chairman, House Committee on Foreign Affairs, with the Minister for Aviation, which it has been agreed that the Memorandum of Understanding that Nigeria signed, we did not even use 50-50 for 2018 Hajj. It was 70-30. 70% was given to our local operators, and 30% was given to Saudi Arabian Airlines. So this is an update of what actually happened for 2018 Hajj. We can assure you that with all these recommendations, the Committee on Foreign Affairs is going to look into it and will get back to the Senate. Thank you very much.
Senator Gaya.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I'm Kabiru Gaya from Kano State, representing the people of Kano South. First of all, Mr. President, I would like to commend, I want to commend this committee headed by Senator Alero for doing a thorough job. They have about 36 pages report, which clearly come up with recommendations as stated with that is prayers. Mr. President, as you cited those prayers, the Senate approved these prayers to bring or introduce hardship to the pilgrims for Hajj. And the extortion of money, last time we discussed on this matter, the pilgrims are paying 1.4 million naira for a trip to Hajj. And I think based on the research and analysis recommendation number 18, clearly, which I mentioned this sometime on the floor of the Senate, that the Hajj fare shouldn't be more than 1 million naira for a pilgrim. And I think this will help to encourage others. For example, I'm traveling to Dubai with this kind of money and taking the kind of standard accommodation they get in Saudi Arabia, I can stay longer at least than it is in the report. And the 75 days in Medina, I think is just too much, over 2.5 months, which Hajj sometimes, if you are going on special pilgrims, you take just 12 days or 2 weeks, you are done. And putting other people for 75 days in that place, I think it's uncalled for. So therefore, this report, I will appeal to the President of the Senate that let's go into the prayers and discuss on the prayers, and let the Senate agree on the prayers of this committee. Thank you, sir.
Senator Gobre. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues. First, I think it's important to understand that Hajj is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. And therefore, it's very important because every Muslim is expected to go to Hajj at least once in a lifetime. And therefore, that is good to look at all these areas where we can reduce costs so that masses can be able to attend or to go to Mecca for the pilgrimage. If you look at item number 18, that recommendation of 1 million, if possible, can still be reduced, the chairman. Why? Because if we can reduce the tariff or the charges of NCAA by more than 50%, we can still bring down this price to about 750,000 naira, and that will be very good. Then if you look at that issue, then I believe masses will be happy, particularly with the APC government. You know, I'm sorry not to be partisan on this issue, but I think it's important that we can be able to do that. Simply because it is one of the 5 pillars and everybody wants to go. Every Muslim wants to go to Mecca. So I think it's better we bring it down to 750,000. I so submit, Your Excellency. The report is very good, and I thank the chairman and members of the committee.
Senator Barrow.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Barrow Jibrin. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, I want to start by commending the committee for putting together a very, very good and all-encompassing report, which touches all aspects of his mandate. I think a thorough job has been done because the committee took its time under the able leadership of the chairman, who is the former governor and also two-term senator. All aspects of the report are well put together. I am really impressed. But I want to say that a foundation has been laid in order to know what is happening professionally, to really find out, to investigate, to further investigate happenings, you know, in the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, so as to make sure that all the things that are thought not to have been done properly will no longer be allowed to happen in the future. Particularly in respect to recommendation 15, which said that NACON should submit its books to Auditor General of the Federation for comprehensive and forensic auditing with regard to revenue and expenditure that has accrued to the agency since its inception. And also recommendation 10, which also underlined the need for proper investigation into the conduct of that agency. Now, when you come to, when we look at condition 4, that NACON should be sanctioned for violating revenue, for violating relevant sections. I want to say that since we are asking for further investigation, that it should further be investigated by the General. So let's not put the cart before the horse. We should allow, by the Auditor General, let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's allow for proper investigation to be conducted, and the report of that investigation will now determine the amount of sanctions to be applied to anyone or the agency as a whole if something is found to have been done wrongly. There are judicial pronouncements and judgments which stipulate that we cannot sanction here, and since we are not court of law, so we should allow for further investigation before the issue of sanction will now come in. I just want to draw the attention of the Senate to this. I say submit.
I think we should just go to the recommendations, so that if you have any problem with anyone, we can deal with it. All right. Recommendation 1, that the NACON should immediately constitute proper procurement planning committee in line with Public Procurement Act 2007. Those in support of this recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 2, that all unnecessary charges by NACON and SPWB, such as administrative charges, hard development levy, yellow card, registration forms, SPWB administrative charges, and other charges by SPWB should be stopped immediately. Those in support of this recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 3, that the National Assembly should immediately commence amending the NACON and Utility Charges Commission Act to bring them to be in conformity with present day realities. Those in support of this recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 3, that NACON should be sanctioned for violating relevant sections of the 1999 Constitution as amended, Public Procurement Act 2007 and NACON Establishment Act. Those in support of this, yes, Dino.
What would amend? Well, I just want to make an inquiry.
Dino Milai, Kogi West. Mr. Chairman, I am of the opinion that this is a public institution, and this recommendation here is a bit, I will want to say that we should be guided by the relevant section of the 1999 Constitution as amended and the Procurement Act that was violated, because this is just a recommendation that we are going to put a question to, and we should have full brief of the infractions. I'm not getting Magana, but you didn't highlight the Giti Magana. And let's check Kaimana, so that we will not Kaimana cited. Let's know the infraction.
Yeah. Well, Mr. President, Yahya Abdullahi Kebino, I am particularly coming, to rescue Senator Gideon Belaya's position. What he's stating actually is in the right direction, but I think it's good for us to state it in a much clearer form. Because when we are talking about instituting sanctions, we have to clarify who is to do the institution of the sanctions. This is a public institution. It has the laws, it's guided by its law, it's guided by so many other conventions that are supposed to be done. So if we say sanction, we say, okay, approved. It is so obtuse that we don't know exactly where we are getting to. So in line with the position that has been taken by Senator Barau, I think the most important thing, and we know that several infractions, several violations have been made under these laws. Now, at this point, it is not appropriate and it is not proper for us to say, do this without really establishing who is to do what and for what purpose. What are really these kind of infractions and what section of the law or what section of the procedures have been violated. So my own position on all these things, the position that have been done here is that it is an investigation. It's an investigation that has found, that certain acts, commissions, and omissions have been made. So I would suggest that a special, either the
15,
on 15, section 15, the Auditor General, we should specify either the Auditor General or the Committee on Foreign Affairs to go through all these recommendations and classify them, so that we will now come with specific recommendations regarding what institutions are to do what, and what body is to do what, so that those ones that involve financial and other things will say national, the Auditor General of the Federation should look into the following: 1, 2, 3, 4. But the other ones where there are administrative lapses will indicate what institutions, are to do those kind of institutions. But as we are going here now, we will say do this without really ascribing which institution is to do what. And at the end of the day, a lot of the work that has been going into this will just disappear without really any consequence, without anything coming out of it. Thank you, sir.
Well, the Secretary, first of all, let me just say that this report affects the fundamental rights of certain people. It has to do with the integrity of people, so we have to be very careful. Whatever we recommend here, we must be very, very sure, because these are things that we may have to tread the person for the rest of his life. So we must be very, very careful. There's no worry about this. If we don't finish it today, we'll continue next day. Solomon.
No, you want to explain, sir?
Alero, just hold on, because you will respond to all the things they're saying.
Thank you, Mr. President. Adiola Solomon Olamilekon, representing Lagos West. Mr. President, I try to listen with rapt attention concerning issues that have been discussed in this report. And getting to the recommendation, when the issue of sanctions were being mentioned, I want to believe that the sanction being proposed by this committee must at least be broken down into various sections. Is it financial sanctions? Is it constitutional sanctions? Is it administrative sanctions? Because sanctions in its entirety covers a very wider range of issues as contained in this report. Mr. President, it is the same report that have recommended sanctions that has also went a step further by saying that the books of this particular commission be submitted to the Auditor General of the Federation for proper scrutiny. That means the issue of financial sanction is not yet established. That is, there is still more work to be done as far as this document is concerned for us to get to the root of the matter as it affects the financial transactions. Now, bordering on other administrative or constitutional and everything, I think we should draw a lot of caution. Because if it is constitutional issues that here we are proposing sanctions, I think the constitution is clear as to how we can apply or who can do this or this as far as affects any individual. So I want us to please be careful, as we have rightly said. It is not mandatory we finish today, because this issue is very, very germane and very fundamental, especially to our Muslim brothers. And as such, we have to tread cautiously. If anybody has been indicted, I expect if this report is detailed enough and said, okay, this man has embezzled X amount of billions of naira, then we can start looking at it from another angle. But if not such thing has been mentioned and recommendation has been called for a further investigation, I think it is only fair at this point to allow this investigation to be completed before we now come back for the thorough deliberation of this report. I think that's my position on this. Thank you.
Deputy Leader.
You see, sir, I think the problem here is we first said that the chairman of the committee should be brief in the presentation of the report. But if you look at the report, it is in three phases. First, we have the main report, then we have the annexures. And then we have findings and observations. The recommendations are a product of extract from the findings and observations as contained in the report. So if you look at the report, you will see that the extractions by way of recommendations
are coming from the finding and observation of the committee. And therefore, since the recommendations tally with the findings and observation, look at the finding and observation first. Then look at whether the recommendations are out of tune with the findings and the observation. So if they are, I don't think...
Jubril Barao.
Sir, you see, Barao Jibrin cannot know. What we are saying is this. We want further investigation. The committee clearly states that there should be further investigation by Auditor General of the Federation. Now, how do you put the car before the horse? You are sanctioning someone when you have not finished investigation. So what I'm saying is this. Number 4 should be taken off and allow the Auditor General to further investigate. If he does the investigation, then we'll move from there. But, you know, calling for sanction when you have not finished investigation, I think is wrong.
Gaya.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, sir. You see, the mistake initially made by the chairman was he was narrowly read the recommendation. If you look through the findings and observations, it justifies the reasons. Let me give you an example.
That's exactly the same thing Bala said now. Don't worry, Gaya. Let Aliero give this explanation. So, unless you have any observation, because you are trying to respond, so which I believe should come from Aliero. Aliero, can you help us?
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Actually, I was rushed into reading recommendations. I should have read findings and observations. All the issues raised by my colleagues are properly covered in this report. Every recommendation we make is justified. And with your permission, I want to read observations and findings so that it will elucidate much more on the report.
What about that, Senator Dino? You are rude out further because we don't that. So Aliero, don't allow to distract you.
Infractions of the 1999 Constitution. All MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies of government are supposed to comply with the provisions of 1999 Constitution and also Public Procurement Act if they are embarking on expenditure. And we made it very clear that the National Hajj Commission holds the wrong perception that monies held in trust for pilgrims is not owned by it and by extension the federal government of Nigeria. And therefore, procurement processes in respect of the said monies are not to be subjected to the provisions of Public Procurement Act 2007. In essence, the Public Procurement Act 2007 does not apply to NACO procurement. See annexures. We gave each senator, every senator here, the annexures. And it is very clear that this is contrary to provisions of Section 1, subsection 1B of the Procurement Act 2007, which states that the provisions of the Act should apply to all procurement of goods, works, and services carried out by the MDAs. All entities outside the foregoing description which derive at least 35% of funds appropriated or proposed to be appropriated for any type of procurement described in this Act from the Federation share of the Consolidated Revenue Act. The committee observed that the Commission's procurement processes on the annual Hajj operations were marred by many contraventions and infractions as it relates flagrantly breached the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria as amended, the Public Procurement Act 2007, and the federal government's financial rule and regulations in respect in the conduct of its role as mere regulator of Hajj operations. Then we listed the procurement processes of the Commission had 1, 2, 3.
No,
okay. No organized procurement unit with trained procurement officers.
Senator Aliero, you know we cannot see beyond 2 o'clock.
So what I suggest therefore is that we stand down consideration of this to another legislative day, and then everybody go and read it extensively and come back with a full contribution. As I said, this is not something we just gloss over. This is a very important report, you know, because as I said, it has to balance on people's integrity, you know, and then rights of pilgrims and their privileges, you know, and obligations. So it's not something we just do quickly and then I think we've done a good job. So my suggestion is I will stand it down. When we come back, everybody would have read it, and then probably even you, from what I've been said now, you'll be able to profile, you know, some answers to some of the issues already raised. So because it's almost 2 o'clock. That's why I say let them go and read it. Even it means you presenting it all over again, so that everybody will be able to have a full understanding of the report and make appropriate contribution. You know, this is very, very important because airlines are here involved, the other services that have to do with pilgrim are involved, the welfare of pilgrims are involved, the duties of the board of the commission is involved, the rights of those who have been doing this are also involved. So it's a complex matter. It's not something we finish in 1 minute. All right. So is this the wish of the Senate that will stand down this to another legislative day? Okay. So the Senate now adjourned to Tuesday, 23rd day of October 2018 at 10 a.m. prompt.
You must agree with me that the interdependency, interconnection, and interrelating that the legislators have always displayed in this chamber, it's a reflection of how committed they are to see Nigeria become a better place. I'm glad to have here with me a renowned distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm talking of distinguished Senator Aduda. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you very much.
Distinguished, I must confess that Nigerians are happy today for the FCT University of Science and Technology. Yeah. And of course, youth are out there who have yearned for this. I've seen it come into limelight. So how soon do you think that this university will take off?
Well, first let me say that the university is already existing. The infrastructure are already there. Classrooms have been built, and both hostels and everything is put in place. And it will interest you to note that while the bill was being considered, the Federal Executive Council at its 17th meeting of 15th of May 2017 also approved for this university to be set up. So all the necessary infrastructure have been put in place, and interestingly, I had started the sponsorship of this bill a few years ago, and today God Almighty has made it possible for the Senate to pass this bill. So I want to say that not only did I work on ensuring the passage of the bill, I got a boost also from the Federal Executive Council that also approved that they had recognized that this university be set up. So with all that put in place, the stage is now set for the university to be set up and to be put in place.
Distinguished, are you assuring Nigerians that Nigeria government can afford to fund this institution, you know, looking at others financial status in Nigeria today?
Well, let me state here that the FCT, there's only one university, which is the University of Abuja, and the people of the FCT do not have a catchment from this university. So this university comes handy for the people of the FCT.
Thank you so very much. I've been talking with distinguished Senator Philip Ajuda. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we do hope you'll be with us same times, of course, next week on the same platform. Until then, we are saying be patriotic and God bless you. I remain Christy Ewodagi saying be blessed.